Welcome to my channel. This is Dr. G. Marti Pasayado. In this session, I would like to explain about the single shoe brake. So we all know that brake is an important element used to retard or stop any machine member. So by providing artificial friction, it can retard or stop the machine member, during which it can absorb the either kinetic energy or potential energy depend upon the type of the motion of the moving member. So apart from that, actually we have different types of brakes. So in this session I am explaining about the only block brake, or we can call it a shoe brake, and especially it's a single shoe brake. So this is how a single shoe brake looks like. So hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Dr. G. Marti Pasayado. In this session I would like to explain about the single shoe brake or single block brake. Simply, what is the application of brake and what is a brake? Brake is an element which is used to retard or stop any moving member. Means this brake provides the artificial friction resistance, so thereby it can retard or stop the moving member. And during this process, the brake absorbs the energy, either kinetic energy or potential energy, depend upon the type of the motion. Okay, whatever it is. So let's come to this one. This is a single shoe brake. So have a look at this one. This is a simple outline diagram how it looks like. So the brake drum, this is the brake drum, this center part is a brake drum. So to this brake drum, we have to make get one surface in contact with this brake drum, developing some force, external force, so that the frictional force develops there, frictional resistance force develops there, so that the motion can be retarded, so that finally you can stop the brake drum. So have a look at this one. This circular part is a brake drum. So here in this case I have taken the brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. This is the direction represented clockwise rotation, and where we can see one lever, this one arm link, we can see this one. So this is called as lever. So now you can observe one part looks like this. So this is a lever which is point jointed, it is pivoted here. So here it is pivoted. So one end it is pivoted, other end is free end. Now to this lever, one component is fixed, and which is called as a shoe or block. So this part is called a shoe or block. So to perpetuate this board, it is having some width. So maybe you can take V or W or B, it's up to us. It's having some width, and whereas you can see it is having some curved shape here. This curved shape exactly fits with the curvature of the brake drum shape. Brake drum. So what happens means this lever is pivoted at one end and which is free end at the other side, where by applying some force here, by applying some force P here, what happens, this block or shoe is pressed against the brake drum, so that there develops the frictional force, frictional resistance force, and which opposes the motion of the drum, finally retards or stop the motion of the drum. And you can see here I have considered the brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. Clockwise direction. So you see here, this is the brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. Then what happens when this shoe presses this one? This is at this point actually it is moving in this direction, therefore friction is in this direction. So when this brake drum is rotating clockwise direction, here at this point where it is having contact with the block or shoe, the force develops, friction force develops in a direction opposite to its motion. It is rotating in this direction, therefore friction force is in opposite direction to this brake drum. Now, if you take the friction force acting on the brake drum is in this direction, whereas friction force on the shoe or block is exactly opposite to it. For example, if you take two surfaces like this, which gets in contact with each other and rubbing together like this. For example, if this is fixed one, this is moving one, like this. To this surface, friction force is in this direction because it is opposite to its motion. And whereas this one is, it is exactly opposite to the direction on which friction force is developed on the surface. So to the surface friction force is downward, to the surface friction force is upward. The same thing happens here it is rotating in clockwise direction, therefore it moves in this direction. Friction force is opposite to the brake drum, so obviously friction force to this shoe is in this direction. So that is what I have mentioned here. See here, you can see here, this F suffix T is the frictional force developed on the shoe or block in this direction. See, when the shoe is pressing this brake drum in this direction, the reaction develops. So the force develops on the brake drum in this direction downward, whereas the reaction on the shoe or block is in upward direction. That is what I have mentioned here. Upward direction, R suffix N. So F suffix T is the frictional force on the shoe, and R suffix N is the reaction force acting in this direction on the shoe. So these forces develop because of the force P, which is applied at the end of the lever. So this lever is fixed at this point. It's a pin joint, or you can call it pivoted at this point O. So O is nothing but the fulcrum of lever. P is the force applied at the end of the lever. That's the P. And whereas F suffix T is the frictional force on the shoe. And whereas the reaction force on the shoe brake is R suffix N. So these are the three forces to be considered when we take the equilibrium of that shoe or block. And whereas you see one more term, that is a 2 theta. 2 theta is so this is the shoe actually, and this is the drum. So this is the surface. This is the surface where the shoe is getting in contact with the drum. So here 2 theta is the angle of contact of shoe with the drum. This is 2 theta, okay? 2 theta. Next, let us take mu is the coefficient of friction between the two friction surface. Okay? Now, we have to consider 3 cases to find the total braking time. So, what are those 3 cases? Let me tell you. If you observe carefully, this is the pivoted point or fulcrum of the lever, and where this is the line of action of frictional force. So if you observe carefully, that line of action of friction force is passing through the fulcrum of lever. So the point O, it is passing through the O. So that is the case 1. Case 1 is what? The frictional force, line of action of frictional force passing through fulcrum. Case 1 is the line of action of frictional force passing through the fulcrum of the lever, which is the point 2. So, we are taking this case, and that too, brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. And brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. So here again we have 2 cases. One is brake drum may rotate in clockwise direction, or it may rotate in counterclockwise direction. Initially we take brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. Then what happens? Brake drum rotating in clockwise direction. Obviously, as we said, friction force is opposite in this direction on brake drum, and whereas friction force on shoe is exactly opposite, so in this direction. So from this, taking the equilibrium about the pivoted point O. So we have to consider the moment of all the forces about point O. So all the forces means this is the one external force P, moment of P about O, moment of Rn about O, moment of Ft about O. And here the line of action of P is at a distance of A, small a from fulcrum, and the line of action of Rn is at a distance of x, the perpendicular distance is x from fulcrum. And whereas the line of action of Ft is passing through fulcrum O. So then we take moments about O. So now taking the equilibrium condition, so that taking the moments of all these 3 forces about fulcrum O, what happens? So this is the point O, this is the force acting downwards. So therefore this is fixed and it is moving downward. So therefore it is a clockwise movement. Movement because of P about y is clockwise, and whereas this is fixed point, this Rn is taking upward direction, so this is counterclockwise direction, and movement because of Ft is 0. Why? Because it is passing through fulcrum. So movement because of P is a clockwise movement about O. Movement because of Rn about Y is counterclockwise. So equate both. So movement because of P is P into total distance A. So finally, external force is P, frictional resistance force is F suffix T, and R suffix N is the normal reaction. Therefore, here frictional force we all know that constant friction is equal to F by R. So from that F is equal to mu into R. And braking torque equals to we can write it as capital T or capital T suffix B. That is the braking torque. So braking torque is equals to, so about the center of the drum, this is a tangential force. So torque is equal to tangential force and distance from the center. So therefore frictional force into, let us take small r is the radius of brake drum. Let us take small r is the radius of brake drum. Then this is the braking torque. Now we have to find out this braking torque for 3 cases. So let me explain what are those 3 cases. First case is, if you observe carefully, the line of action of frictional force Ft, it is passing through fulcrum of O. This is the first case. The second case is, there is a possibility this line of action of frictional force may pass through a distance above the fulcrum. So it can be like this. If this is the lever, there is a possibility that shoe can be like this, and this is how the brake drum can be, and this is the frictional force. So what happens? See here, the line of action of frictional force is passing through a distance above the fulcrum. So this is the second case. And third case is, if this is the lever and shoe, and this can be brake drum, and here can be frictional force. So the line of action of frictional force is below the fulcrum. So these are the 3 cases. The first case is this one, where line of action of frictional force passing through fulcrum. The second case is the line of action of frictional force passing through a distance above the fulcrum. And third case is the line of action of friction force passing through a distance below the fulcrum. So let us see one by one clearly. So let us take the first case. That is the case 1. As I said, case 1 is the line of action of friction force passing through fulcrum. So first case. Again here, there can be 2 more sub cases. That is, this brake drum may rotate in clockwise direction or it may rotate in counterclockwise direction. So let us take first of all in clockwise direction. So let us take brake drum is rotating in clockwise direction. So when brake drum rotates clockwise direction, then we have to apply the equilibrium condition to this shoe, to this block. So due to all these 3 forces, one is P, the other is R suffix N, the other is F suffix T. So let us find out the moment because of all these 3 forces about O. Moment because of P about O is clockwise. You see this one clockwise. This is fixed, and when this is acting downward, so this is a clockwise moment, and which is equals to P into distance is A. And whereas moment because of Rn about O is, this is fixed, and here is the force acting upward direction. Therefore, it is a counterclockwise. Rn into this distance is x. Whereas moment because of Ft is 0 because it is passing through fulcrum. So clockwise moment because of P is equals to counterclockwise moment because of Rn. So that's why you will get so P into A is equals to Rn into x. So from this, equals to PA by X. And here the braking torque T suffix B equals to Ft into R. So where we know that friction force, coefficient of friction is equal to F by R, coefficient of friction force is equals to friction force F by normal reaction R. So from that, friction force is equals to coefficient of friction into normal reaction. So that's why we can write it as mu into Rn into R. So where this Rn is equal to this one, substitute here, it will become mu, this Rn equals to P A divided by X into R. So finally, the braking torque equals to mu into P into A into R by X. So this is the braking torque. Okay, now we'll take the second case, not the second case actually. Here there is a second possibility is there. In case 1 is the same case 1. Friction force is passing through line of action of, the line of action of friction force is passing through fulcrum itself. Where there are two possibilities. One is brake drum rotating in clockwise, brake drum rotating in counterclockwise. So let us take now counterclockwise. Okay. Now, if we take counterclockwise direction, the brake drum rotates in this direction. Therefore, it is in this direction. And now, when it rotates in this direction, the friction force is in this direction on brake drum. Whereas for shoe, it is in this direction. So this is Ft. So this is Ft. Now again applying the equilibrium condition, taking moments about O. Moment because of P is P into A clockwise. Moment because of Rn about O is Rn into X counterclockwise. Moment because of Ft is 0 because line of action is passing through O. Therefore, X. So from this, X. So if you take this one, here braking torque is equal to mu Rn R. So substituting this Rn here, the braking torque equals to mu Rn. So this Rn you substitute here into. So looking at these formulas, these two formulas, in the first case, either brake drum rotates in clockwise or counterclockwise. Finally, the braking torque is same. There is no change in the braking torque. Okay. Now the case 2, as I said, the line of action of frictional force. If you observe carefully, the line of action of frictional force, it is above the fulcrum. This is the point fulcrum O, and whereas this is passing through a distance above O. That distance we have taken as B. So B is the distance above the fulcrum where the line of action of friction force is. Okay. So let us take this case. And here also there are two possibilities. One is brake drum rotating in clockwise direction, brake drum rotating in counterclockwise direction. So let us start with first of all clockwise direction. So let us take brake drum rotating in this direction. When brake drum rotating in this direction, the friction force is in this direction for brake drum, and it is exactly opposite in the direction for block or shoe. So that's why friction force is in this direction. Now again, applying the equilibrium conditions, taking the moments of all these three forces, P and friction resistance force Ft and normal reaction Rn about O, about fulcrum O. Okay. See here, about the fixed point O, this is a fixed point, whereas here the force is downward P. So it is clockwise moment P into distance is A. And whereas the moment because of Rn is, this is fixed, and here Rn is upward. So this is fixed, and here it is upward. Therefore, counterclockwise moment because of Rn, that is Rn into distance x. And whereas if you see in the previous case, case 1, the moment because of friction force is 0, but now this time, because it is moving at a distance B above the fulcrum, therefore this is the fixed point and this is the force direction. Therefore, it is clockwise. So this. So therefore, sum of all clockwise movements equals to sum of all counterclockwise movements. So from that, if you see here, the moment because of Rn is counterclockwise, Rn into x equals to moment because of P is clockwise, P into A plus moment because of Ft is Ft into B. So from this actually Ft is equal to mu into Rn. So from this we can take Rn towards one side and remainder towards comes to the other side. So Rn is equal to P into A by x. Sorry, it will become minus because this term come this side, it will become minus. Then it will come to the other side of the denominator side. Okay. So P into A by x minus mu B. So this is Rn. So now therefore breaking torque equals to. So this is the breaking torque. Ft into R. Nothing but Ft is nothing but mu Rn. Therefore mu Rn R. So therefore mu. This is the Rn into R. So finally breaking torque is called mu P into A into small r divided by x minus mu B. So this is the breaking torque when the line of action of friction force is above the fulcrum and that too breakdown rotating in clockwise direction. Now let us take the other possibility in this case 2 itself, that is a breakdown rotating in counterclockwise direction. So now second possibility in the case 2, that is a breakdown rotating in counterclockwise. Now again the same thing, applying the equilibrium condition, taking moments about O. You see here the moment because of P, it is clockwise moment P into A. Then whereas moment because of Rn is counterclockwise Rn into x. And moment because of Ft is now here, it is like this. If O is here, the line of action of Ft is passing like this. So therefore this is counterclockwise Ft into B. So therefore, okay, therefore clockwise moment is because of this one and counterclockwise because of R and Ft. So therefore Rn into x plus Ft into B equals to P into A. So from this Ft is equal to mu Rn. So here we can take Rn common and bring all the remaining terms to the other side. So this is Rn. Substitute this Rn here in the breaking torque. So the break torque P suffix B equals to mu Rn. So Rn substitute this one. Into smaller. So if you look at this one, the breaking torque here and here, this is mu P into A into R by x minus mu B, whereas here mu P into A into R by x plus mu B. So if you observe carefully, the breaking torque is different in both the cases. Breaking torque is different in both the cases. So which one is better among these two actually? Means in which case the braking will be more effective. So if you observe carefully, you can see this one and compare this one with this. Actually external force is P that we are applying here, all of here. See in the case 1, brake torque on both cases, whether drum rotating clockwise, counterclockwise, it doesn't change the braking torque. But whereas the braking torque here is different when drum rotating in clockwise and drum rotating in counterclockwise. So if you look at this one, if you compare these two, the external force is P. The external force we are applying we are applying or we are providing to apply the brakes. So what happens here is this Ft into B, the moment because of friction force is summing. It is adding to the moment because of external force P. But whereas here it is not adding, it is to the opposite direction. So here it is more effective than this one. So here friction force in this case. So case 2, when brake drum rotating in clockwise direction, then this moment is adding to the moment because of P. So that's why it is more effective braking, and which is called as self-energizing braking. Okay. Now let's take the third case, case 3. The third case, the line of action of friction force is passing through a distance below the fulcrum. So here is the fulcrum, you can observe this one. This line of action of friction force is passing through here, which at a distance below the fulcrum, at a distance of B. So this is the third case. Again here also there are two possibilities. First is brake drum rotating clockwise, next is brake drum rotating counterclockwise. So let us take first one, that is a clockwise direction brake drum. So let us take clockwise direction. This is rotating clockwise direction like this. Friction force is in this direction for brake drum, whereas it is opposite exactly in this direction for shoe block. So as shown this one. So again applying the equilibrium conditions, taking moment about O. This is downward P, clockwise moment about O P, and thereafter Rn is like this, counterclockwise moment of Rn about O, and this is O. The line of action of friction force is below it. Towards in this direction is Ft. So that's why this is fixed, and it is like this. So counterclockwise. So finally, counterclockwise movement because of Rn, counterclockwise movement because of Ft, and clockwise movement because of P. So obviously, sum of all clockwise movements is equals to sum of all counterclockwise movements for equilibrium condition. So therefore, see here, Rn into x plus Ft into B equals to P into A, and where Ft equals to mu into Rn is equal to P into A. So taking Rn towards one side equals to by Vb. So substituting this one here, braking torque equals to mu, Rn is this one, into R small. So this is the first possibility. So this is the braking torque value when brake drum rotates in clockwise direction and line of action is below the fulcrum. Now the second possibility in the third case is the brake drum may rotate in counterclockwise direction. So it's not here in this direction. Let us take in this direction. When it rotates in this direction, the friction force is not here. Is the friction force. Okay, again applying the equilibrium condition, take a moment. So this is a fixed point, P is downward, clockwise moment, and Ft is here. So observe carefully. Now this is the fulcrum, this is the line of action of Ft. So this is fixed and it is moving like this. Fixed, moving like this. So it is like this. So it is also clockwise and counterclockwise because of Ra. So therefore finally Rn into x equals to P into A plus Ft into B. Where Ft is equal to mu Rn. So from this Rn equals to So P into A by X minus mu B. So this is Rn value. From this breaking torque equals to mu. Rn is this one. Okay, into smaller. So if you look at this one, the breaking torque when breakdown rotates in clockwise direction is mu Pa R by X plus mu B, whereas breaking torque when breakdown is rotated counterclockwise direction mu Pa R by X minus mu B. Again, as I said in the case 2, we have to observe in which case means when breakdown rotates in clockwise and counterclockwise, when we compare these two, in which case the braking is more effective means we have to look at this one. If we look at this one, this movement because of friction force is adding to movement because of P, external force. That's why here it supports the braking force, it supports the artificial friction. So here braking is more effective. So this case is called as a self-energizing brakes. Means in case 2 means when line of action of friction force is passing through a distance above the fulcrum, there in that case, if breakdown rotates in clockwise direction, that is a self-energizing. You can observe this one. And case 2, breakdown rotating clockwise, then also we got the same equation. Means these two. Means the case 2, this is line of action of friction passing through a distance above the fulcrum and breakdown rotates in clockwise. That one. And case 3 means line of action of friction force passing through a distance below fulcrum and breakdown rotation counterclockwise, both are same, which gives the same relation. Means where frictional force movement is summing or adding to the external force movement. So finally it gives more effective braking system. So which is called as self-energizing brakes. Those are called as self-energizing brakes. There's one more important term called as a self-locking brakes. Let me tell you what is meant by self-locking brakes. Means it doesn't need any external force. Only with the assistance of frictional force, the brakes can be applied. So how it is possible? Means see, external force is P. Means no need of P. Without the P, the friction force itself is sufficient to apply the brakes to stop the moving machine member. Means in that case, P should be 0 or maybe less than 0. Means negative value. How it is possible? If we look at this one, here in this case, I said case 2. Case 2 with clockwise brake drum. Case 3 counterclockwise brake drum. So these two are self-energizing brakes, and in which again you can observe this one. If P is 0 or negative, then those are called as self-locking brakes. How is it possible? Means if you look at this one, the equation these two cases same. This P will become 0 or negative when you take this one towards this side. What happens? Is it or not? Now P is equals to, from this I got this one. P you can take this side. Sorry, this A will take this side. So P is equal to Rn X minus mu B divided by A. So P can be negative only when this is negative, or this is 0, then P will be 0. So only possibility is if X is equal to mu P, P will become 0, or else if X is less than mu B, P will become negative. So P, the external force, can be 0 or negative only when X less than or equal to mu B. So when X less than or equal to mu B, then those brakes are called self-locking brakes. Obviously, the reverse is nothing but self-energizing brakes. So to avoid the self-locking, always we have to take care that X should be. So this is the condition for self-energizing brakes. self-energizing brakes. This is the condition for self-locking. So always we have to avoid self-locking. Always the brake should be under self-energizing, so that X should be greater than mu B. Okay. So this is all about the single shoe or single block brakes. Thank you for watching.